Good Thursday evening, friends. I'm Joe Gillaway, and along with my partner, Bill Bostic, we welcome you to This and That, the podcast. Bill, how are you?
I am doing fine. Better than I should be, actually, Joe. I'm very
I
lucky.
I caught your Lingelstown Gazette sports
No, what
or
sports?
I'm sorry, I got to get out. I have to remember that Lingelstown Gazette is back. Yay. Your
Yeah,
Lingelstown Gazette, is it a diatribe? What is
I
it?
don't. I you're using words I'm not familiar with, Joe. What
I,
do you mean?
I don't know if that's the right word. Uh, a
What are you trying to
diatribe
say?
is a Oh, no, that's not the right word. A diatribe is a forceful and bitter verbal attack against something or somebody. I guess
Yeah,
now and then it could turn into a diatribe,
it
right?
could. It could if the right person
It's a
shows up.
monologue. It's an update, and it was really good though. It was a couple hours ago, so I encourage everybody out there to. So you don't have a
Yeah,
name for that thing?
it's Lingelstown Gazette Live. That's
Legalstown
what it
Gazette
is.
Live. Okay, so
Yeah,
this is episode number. Bill, do you know of our show? Episode.
I think it's 12.
You got it. That's it. And this is the People's Podcast, Bill. It
Oh,
really is.
really?
It's turning
Okay.
into the People's Podcast. I mean, a lot of people are watching it that feel like they have a connection to it because they live around us and where this show is based out of. They
Yeah.
have the same issues, the same struggles, the same challenges in the communities because we all kind of we're all under the same government umbrella, Lower Paxton Township, or most of us are. So anyway, let's just do this very quickly. Let's thank our sponsors, and they are
There you go.
Rickaba's Electric, Team Pennsylvania, or Team PA, AAU basketball. Be a hero, hire a hero, and the Robert H. Hoke American Legion Post 272. Thanks once again to those great local businesses for their continued support. So we have some opening segment topics. Bill, we're going to call this the opening segment, by the way. Okay. I don't think we ever really named
That's
it.
that's a highly creative name there,
Yeah,
Joe.
we went into the think tank for that one. Let's talk very briefly. Everything we're going to talk about, we're going to talk very briefly about because that's
Yeah.
the only way we can keep it to kind of a 10 minutes or less. New Democratic supervisor ticket. Man, that I don't know if it came out of left field, but it just all came at once. And Pamela Thompson, who's currently the longest tenured, correct, longest tenured
Yeah,
supervisor.
she's not on the ticket. She's
But
already
this
a
is, but
supervisor.
they called it the ticket.
Okay, all right.
The Dems they released a photo and they called
Yeah,
it the new Democratic supervisors ticket. So
sure. So she's part of
she's
that.
she's part of the group. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's take Pamela Thompson out of the actual literal ticket part. But then we have Kate Scheib,
Right.
Robin Lindsay, who was a long-standing, long-term supervisor on the Republican side, and then
Yeah,
John
16
Campbell,
years.
16 years, John Campbell, and Dr. Charles Stewart. And we had Dr. Stewart on this show once before. And just an
So,
FYI, I have reached out to Robin Lindsay through her husband, Joe, and Kate
okay.
Scheib, and I've invited both of them on. And I wasn't given a hard no by either of them. Kate did say
Okay.
that she'd like to come on at some point, a little later, a little closer to the election. And
Hey
I think,
Joe,
yeah,
are you familiar with John Campbell? I
I'm
did a
not.
Google
No, that's what I was going to ask you
I
about.
did a Google search on him. I think he may have been um, treasurer of Harrisburg City at one point.
Okay.
I think that's a possibility, but I have to do more research on that.
Okay. We're always looking for somebody that knows how to manage money, Bill, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, and I wanted to mention too that I said that neither Kate Scheib or Robin Lindsay were hard nosed when I asked them. Hard nosed, NOS. I asked Joe Lindsay, her husband, a few months back, and he said, "Well, there's some things in the works. It's just not the right time." So we'll reach back out to Robin Lindsay and see if she wants to come on and talk to us. So anything else on that, Bill, before we move on to the next
Well,
topic?
other than you declared this and that the podcast to be the central location for debates and forums on this
No,
race that
I said we are going to be conducting the official debates.
official. That's right, the official.
The
Okay.
official debates, and they are
And
the official debates. If we
so
say
you
they
declared
are,
it, and I verified it for you.
yes,
I
yes,
just
and we
want to say
have.
this is official.
I came up with a neat way to do it to try to probably keep it as fair as possible. So
Yeah.
anyway, of course, it's only we're just not even into July yet. So
Yeah,
we
not
have
until
some,
after Labor Day does the campaign kick off for the most
correct.
part.
Yep. So how about Colonial Park Mall, Bill? Just a brief update. We are working on putting a show together, at least a portion of a show, I'd say, and talk about, is that, I don't know. I'm just kind of guessing. Is that the largest tract of commercial land in the township? I mean, it's a big tract of land, and it sits right in the midst of a whole lot of stuff. So it's really important that we know, or we find out, so we can pass that information along to you, the viewers.
Did you get the article I sent to you today?
I did. Yes, I did.
Okay. Yeah, there was some legislation going through that might help municipalities do that. The only other note I'll make is that apparently on a bigger scale, not just Colonial Park Mall, but on a bigger scale where these malls are becoming defunct and deteriorated and all that, for whatever reason, developers in general don't want to dig into those things. So that's going to be interesting for us to find out what the deal is with that. We'll have to find a developer to talk to us about that.
And let me give a wholehearted apology here, Bill.
Okay.
Well, I should have mentioned it at the top of the show, and I didn't. I think people know because we advertise it, we promote it. But our guests tonight are 3 members of PSFCA Big 33. Director of Big 33, Nicole Whitmire, Executive Director of PSFCA and Big 33, Garry Cathell, and Director of Football Operations, John Weaver. And these are nice people, too. They're not just football people. They're great people, and they have a really, really good message. There's a lot of super positive stuff that surrounds that game. It's not just a football game. So my apologies that I waited a couple minutes before doing that. And so let's wind down what we're doing here with our opening segment, and we'll bring those folks in. Bill, how about discolored water?
Well, I was lucky I didn't have any in Lingostown, but I read about it, and
man,
I was impressed that the Lower Paxton Township Bureau of Public Safety, or Bureau of Fire, I guess, actually they were on top of that and reporting to people. But it's hard to sell the fact that the water is good to drink when it's brown. I mean,
it's hard to sell the fact that stuff happens sometimes. Okay, in this world, in life, and I don't know exactly why what started the discolored water. But let me tell you something.
I know generally they start flushing the system. It's an annual maintenance thing. And just when they start flushing it, it flushes out all the crap that is in the pipes. And for a period of time, it's not unusual to get brown water. This is more widespread than usual. And the water was actually look dirtier than usual.
I mean, it's like Facebook turns into a storming of the Bastille. I mean, these people get really, really bent out of shape. I'm not paying. I better get a credit. And, I'm sure they were doing the best they could to try to figure it out. And I understand, too. I respect that people are frustrated. They might be afraid because they see a discolored water and they're drinking it or bathing in it. And I wash my flowers every morning, and I could see that it was.
But it would be interesting to find out exactly why this time it was so widespread. That would be interesting to know. Actually,
I think I'm done with it, Bill. I think I'm done with discolored water.
I'm ready to launch a new investigation.
It ran its course with me. And then 2 more things, unless you have anything. I want to mention a week. I think it's a week from tonight. Is it next? It's the 2nd, whatever that is. No, that's next Wednesday. Night. Yeah. We have a really cool show coming up. We have 2, let's call them both local media members, long-term, have been members of the different types of media in the South Central Pennsylvania. We have sports journalist Andrew Linker, Linker, who's a great writer. He's a great sports journalist. We're going to talk about baseball with him.
He's a baseball historian.
He's a baseball historian, yeah. So we're going to talk baseball with him. And then we have Hawaiian Chris James. Get your layout, Bill. I want to see.
I think I have a Hawaiian shirt. I think I wear a Hawaiian shirt.
Okay. Well, we have Hawaiian Chris James, who is in his 41st year as a radio DJ. So kind of not the same type of media, but in a sense, they're both media members. They're both, have been around for a long time. I've been reading Andrew Linker and listening to Hawaiian Chris James for many years, both of them. And I'm excited to have these guys on. And then the
Yeah.
last thing I want to mention is there's a woman by the name of it's Tamara Willis. Okay.
Okay.
She's the Susquehanna
Oh, yeah.
Township superintendent.
Yeah, I
Okay.
saw that. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And she reached out to me, and I think this is cool. I give her 2 thumbs up. She wants to talk about there's a referendum going on the November ballot, and I guess they're going to ask the taxpayers how they feel about having their tax money to contribute towards a new elementary school. Now,
Oh, okay.
that's going to fly like what doesn't fly well. That's how that's going to fly.
That's one of the tough decisions that school board members have to make.
Yeah,
man.
right. Yeah. So anyway, Tamara Willis, we're going to try to get her on a show very soon. It can't be next week because we have that one filled up, but let's see if we can get her on in 2 weeks. At least give her
sounds good to me.
A portion of the show. So thank you, Ms. Willis, for reaching out, and we will let you allow you to have a forum to discuss the referendum on the November ballot concerning building a new elementary school for Susquehanna Township School District. That's all I have, Bill. How do we do here? Oh, we went over.
You did fine. I wanted to see if I could get the first question here for our guests here. One that I think is important to address right up front.
Bill, we're friends. You don't have to ask me that.
Well, no, you're the owner operator of this about the podcast.
Yeah, but you still don't have
I report to you.
No, you don't. Whoever's listening or watching, there's probably not many. He's lying. He doesn't report to me at all. We're probably as close to like 50-50 as it gets. And he and I have been working together with a little bit of a furlough in between for probably 8.5 years now. Probably half of that actually. Yeah. But anyway, so let's bring him in. How's that sound, Bill? There's Good. Nicole Whitmire.
Hi.
And there's Garry Cathell and John Weaver. And once again, Nicole is the director of Big 33. She works just under Garry. And Garry, before you came on, Nicole, he gave you a lot of credit. Like basically said you do a lot of stuff for Big 33. So, we have Garry is the executive director of PSFCA and Big 33, both. And then John Weaver is the director of football operations. So thank you all three for joining us. This has been in the works. John and I communicated, I don't know, a long time ago, right, John? Like months and months ago it started. And I think I kind of promised you back then that we'd do something, and I never forgot about it. So I'm glad we're getting together tonight. Let's start with Bill has a question.
Yeah, the question I have is, what is the significance of Big 33, the number 33? I never understood that, having been around the game since the 70s.
Great way to start.
I'm going to let you answer that one, Coach. Okay. You've been around it the longest.
It goes back to when it first started in 1957 with Al Clark, Harrisburg Patriot News. He created the very first team, did not even play a game. It was just a selected team. And I think he just came up with that number, 33. And back then, 33 seemed to be a typical number of how many people would suit up for your high school football. And obviously, it's 33, which it is still called, has grown to 40 players. And we'll get into discussion about that too. But it's still called the Big 33.
Okay. Thank you. And then let me just kind of some factoids out. 2025, the game just a month or so ago was the 68th game every year except for 2020, and we know that was the COVID year, right? I don't think you guys missed another year other than 2020. I went through and did the best research I could. And here are the incarnations. These are the ways that these games went as far as who was competing against whom. Pennsylvania versus the National All-Americans the first, I think, 2 or 3 years. Then there was an East-West, and there was a blue versus gray, PA versus Texas, PA versus Ohio, and then PA versus Maryland. This is I believe, the second incarnation of PA versus Maryland. Is that correct? I think it was Maryland, then went back to Ohio, and now we're back to Maryland. How do we like the and I'm going to throw the questions out. I mean, you guys are going to have to try to figure out some of them just how to share them and who wants to answer what. But how do we like the relationship right now between Pennsylvania and Maryland? Let me ask Nicole.
Go ahead, Nicole.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a really great relationship, especially with the administrators from Team Maryland. What's nice is that the state is so close to Pennsylvania, so we're able to get a lot of fans from Maryland to come up to the game in Pennsylvania. But no, the game is catching on down there again, and the kids are excited to be a part of the Big 33 team. I think you saw this year. It was they came ready to fight this year.
That's called that was like they took you to the wood pile. That's what they call it. I mean, they were
tired of losing.
Right, they were tired of losing. That's a better way of putting it. Yes. And one of the things that I've noticed about, and this is a compliment about the Big 33 game, at least the ones I've seen, it doesn't look like an all-star game in that it looks like it's two really good football teams competing. Okay. Obviously you have all-star players, but the game itself just looks like a regular old, really good, highly contested football game. Is that the way you guys see it too, Nicole?
Yeah. The teams have 10 practices each leading up to the game. So, Maryland does it a little differently than Pennsylvania. The Maryland team, they practice 6 weekends, just one time each of those weekends leading up to coming in for the Big 33 long weekend. And Pennsylvania, they pick one weekend and come in and have multiple practices in that weekend. So, so they're preparing. I know Pennsylvania's head coach is already preparing for next year for the game. There is a lot put in by the coaches, by the players, by the administrators to make sure that by the time you come in to play on Sunday night, your team is ready to go.
Okay.
And who won this year's game?
Bill, are you not paying attention?
Maryland.
I didn't. No,
It was Maryland.
that's why I picked up on that.
42-21, 42-21
Okay.
Maryland. And
there you go.
what
Thank you.
Nicole said is they probably had a bit of an axe to grind. We were kind of taking it, getting the best of them there for a few years.
I would add that for 5 years in a row, Pennsylvania won, and only one of those games was really close. So
right.
I mean, Pennsylvania people would not like what I'm about to say, but a Maryland win, a significant win this year, was probably one of the best things that could happen.
I think so. I agree.
Guys, I mean, I'm sure people in Maryland were to the point where, hey, can Maryland beat Pennsylvania?
Right.
And what they saw, I'm sure is leading them to believe absolutely.
Yeah. It was a good game though. I mean, even though it was a 42-21, it was a good game. A lot of great athleticism, and again, to me, it looks like just a regular old football game where the kids are prepared, the coaches are prepared, and they're just out there. It's a real tussle. So let me bring Garry. Go ahead.
Yeah, Joe, I want to add something when you talk about how personal the game is now. I think the fact that we're playing in a high school stadium has a lot to do with that. Usually, when people knew the Big 33 years ago in the Mickey Minnick days, and it was in Hershey, and you have a 20,000 seat venue, and it was nearly packed for the Big 33 games. If we were to have in these recent years a game in that venue, it would look relatively empty. Since we moved the games into the high school venues, it becomes more personal. You can
Absolutely.
hear the crowd gets involved, and it is like a local rivalry game, and fans get excited about it, and it's a more personal atmosphere.
Well, that's a fabulous segue, Garry. I was going to ask you. I know how I feel about Cumberland Valley, but I'll tell you, I love it. I think the world of Josh Oswalt. I know that Josh Oswalt has a role in PSFCA too. He's also the Cumberland Valley's head coach, and Mike Craig, the athletic director. I think they both do a fabulous job with Big 33 PSFCA with everything else they do there. I mean. But I think that's a really good-sized high school stadium. That's like 8,000 to 8,500, so it's not tiny. And
no, you're exactly right. I think that the the total seating capacity is a little over 6,000.
Is that it?
Yeah, when you get the people who are down on the field, when you get a full house over there, our understanding is it's close to about 10,000 people. You can get into that stadium. And if you take a look at the Big 33 game itself, the stands are pretty full on both sides, but
Right.
you have a ton of people that are down on the field area.
Well, Nicole made a good point. Nicole said how close Maryland is. It's geographically our closest neighbor. It would be our closest neighbor as far as another state. And it's not hard for people to jump in the car, and even if they live in Southern Maryland, and get up here in a few hours. So
exactly, it makes for a good venue. As you were mentioning, the people over at Cumberland Valley are fantastic.
Yeah, talk about athletic director Mike Craig and head football coach Josh Oswald and his role with PSFCA, Gary, if you will.
Absolutely. 9 years ago, we started looking for venues, and we ended up with Central Dolphin, and we went to Bishop McDevitt, and roughly now 2.5 years ago, we were at the state championship games, which was the first year that they were having the state championship games over there. And I happened to be there, and I saw how phenomenal the setup was, the atmosphere for the state championship games, and it was wow. Let me see if we can talk to some people. And from that point, obviously we went back to my board and discussed with our people in the office, Nicole and John and our staff, and we talked about moving the game from Dauphin County to Cumberland County was a major decision because of finances. When we finally decided that we were going to make the move, Cumberland County just really and truly jumped on board, not only the school district, but the county. Now, we got to give them special thanks for all that they are doing for us. We feel that we are giving back by, having and putting on a great event. But more importantly, man, we wouldn't have been able to do it without the people in Cumberland County, the politicians, and then particularly working with the people at Cumberland Valley High School within the district. Mike Willis, the chief financial officer over there, and Mike Craig, and as you mentioned, Josh Oswald, who is our executive director on the PSFCA side, the Pennsylvania Scholastic Football Coaches Association, and also he oversees all those events that go on over there. But they have just been fabulous. Their staff is fantastic. We got a little bit of a standing joke. Those that are a little bit older know who Radar O'Reilly is, right? He kind of knows new
from
things
MASH,
from MASH ahead of time. That's the way their staff is over there. You can get ready. Oh, we got to check with these guys to see if this is going to happen, and they know already to do it. So, and that's where John's involved. John's involved a lot with their staff and his position, but they've just been fantastic. And we couldn't ask for a better site, better venue, better people to work with.
I agree. Just from, I guess, a fan point of view, or somebody that's at least close enough to know how well they do, I can say that I think they do a fabulous job with that, and the state championships, of course. Okay, let's bring John in here. John, this started a long time ago. You and I started talking about this, and I'm glad we could finally get it together here. But let's. How long have you been with Big 33, John?
I have been with Big 33 40 years.
Okay, so that's long enough to ask you this question. I'm going to ask you actually two questions.
All right.
The biggest changes, other than when you started, it was mid 80s. Now it's mid 2020s. But what are kind of the changes that have come about, let's just say in the last couple of decades, that have, caused a little bit of pain, or, or you guys to kind of pivot and really make some changes on your own end?
Absolutely. That's an easy question to answer. The biggest change is what goes on at the college level. Anybody that follows sports knows how that has changed. Back in the 80s, 90s, the players didn't start their college experience until August, when they reported for preseason camp, their scholarship wasn't even allowed to take effect until they were enrolled for classes for their fall semester. Things changed when the players could start, as they do now, graduating earlier. They're long gone before the springtime, and if they're not, then they're required to report to campus immediately after they graduate. It would be impossible for us to have the game the way it used to be at the end of July, that's people who have been around for a long time. That's what they remember of the Big 33. But like I said, the changes at the college level dictate what we've had to do. Obviously, our response has been to play the game earlier and earlier, and that creates its own set of challenges. As I had mentioned a little bit earlier, the game used to usher in high school football in central Pennsylvania.
Right.
People were in a football frame of mind. They were ready for this. Not quite so much late spring. They're still thinking of that baseball playoffs that are going on and the track and field championships that are occurring in Shippensburg the very same weekend as the game itself. So what goes on, at the college level has probably been our greatest challenge.
Okay, Nicole, let me bring you in. Does having to play this game at the end of May, is that when it was? The end of May, right?
Memorial Day weekend. Yep.
Does that create, and I don't know if you have anything to do with this part of it, but a necessity for more creative promotion or how you kind of blast the game out to the public? I mean, what do you do to try to get people into football in May?
Yeah, I mean, that is a challenge in itself. Plus, over Memorial Day weekend, you have sports tournaments going on. You have people going on vacation. Like it was just said, you're not really thinking of football over Memorial Day weekend. You're just kind of ushering in summer. So it is a challenge, which is, I think, where we've had to pivot and try to, reinvent the Big 33 as a community event. We have youth clinics leading up to it. So we try to get our youth cheerleaders and football players, the young ones, really excited about it and interested. So they want to come to the games and their parents want to bring them. With the game being over Memorial Day weekend, it is the perfect time for us to be able to give back to the military and veterans in our community. So we offer free tickets to anyone who has served or is currently serving the country. We do a really nice military tribute and try to just make that a really, special event for those who are in the military as well. We have our different groups that we involve in the Big 33. I know we'll probably talk about this later, but we have our buddies who are individuals with special needs who we pair up with our players and cheerleaders. So we have those families who are involved. We have our host families who all the players stay with the local family. So we get them to come out. We have to get creative. But we were able to really fill up that stadium this past year. I think our numbers were about 8,500 that we had there at the game. So
awesome. That's wonderful.
It was a great year.
Wonderful. Thank you. Let's look at this. How are the teams chosen? I know that's we're going 180 degrees here. Bill, do you have any questions before we get to that one? I don't want to deprive you.
Well, no, that was on my list, how the players are selected. So
okay, let's go to that. Gary, do you want to take that one? How the players are selected?
I'm glad that you asked that. It's always nice to get this word out there. Nicole mentioned it a little bit earlier. The selection process is a little different state by state. We have here in Pennsylvania, we have a much larger pool of schools involved in that we can draw from as opposed to Maryland. Maryland does an invite/tryout, so they'll have an invitation. They'll invite so many kids that they feel are pretty talented. Then they will have a tryout where their staff and their administrators will put their team together, and they feel that that's the best way for them to manage and get the best quality players that they can get in Maryland. In Pennsylvania, it's entirely different. For years and years, the Pennsylvania Scholastic Football Coaches Association has selected the players and coaches for the game. And the process is very, very in depth. It's a huge vetting program of players. It's done by our board of directors. In the PSFCA, there are 12 districts here in Pennsylvania, which you may or may not know of, in the PIAA districts.
Yep.
Each of the districts have what we call is our district directors. And depending on the size of the district, you have a number of directors that are appointed to that specific district. So when we come together, first off, what a lot of people don't realize is that players who play in the Big 33 game from Pennsylvania, their head coach has to be a member of the Coaches Association. So, if there's a player that might not be playing, it could be because their coach isn't a member of our association. This is the way it's been for a long, long time.
Why would somebody, I hate to interrupt, but I'm going to have to, because I wonder this myself, because I'm familiar with that policy. Why would any school not send a check or however and say, I want my coach to be a member of the PSFCA? Why would that exist?
Well, it exists for a lot of reasons. A lot of times, especially the small schools, and that's where we want to get into talking a little bit about East-West games and players that are associated with that events. That's a lot of times coaches felt that they did not, they're a small school, their players are not going to get selected, and they always thought that it was the old boys club, and and it's just not like that.
I get that. You just never know when that one kid's going to come around, and then you're not in a position where he could take part.
It's very, very easy if you feel that you have a chance of your kid being part of any of the 3 All-Star games. Now it behooves those coaches to become a member.
Absolutely.
But anyway, by the end of the year, we put out information to all the coaches in the state that by December 31st, you would have had to nominate your players. We had over 700 players nominated for the Big 33 / East-West games this year. So what happens at that point, January is our evaluation month for the Pennsylvania team. We have a gentleman from Souderton High School, Ed Gallagher, who is basically who we call our tally guy. We send all of the first of all, we split all of our directors up into committees for positions. So let's just use the quarterback room as one position. We have coaches on those committees from all parts of the state. So let's say there's 6 coaches on that committee. Ed will send them the list of all the quarterbacks, and let's say that there were 70 quarterbacks nominated, which is truly very, very close to being accurate. Anywhere we can get 100 quarterbacks nominated. So he'll send that list out to each one of those coaches, and they have 2 weeks individually to look and rank all 70 quarterbacks on their own. So each of the 6 will evaluate, they'll rank 1 to 60. They will turn them in by the 3rd week in January, and Ed will tally them and come up with a numbers list of the top kids, the kids that have kind of filtered to the top of the 70 all the way down to number 70. And there's a reason that we still want to rate all these kids, and it's because of the East-West game. So the 3rd weekend, it varies. The 3rd weekend or the 4th weekend in January, the executive board comes together at State College. We meet in the football buildings, and we break out into committees. And it's the job of the committees to bring the team into a full session of the committee with the parameters that the head coach wants. If the head coach wants only 1 tight end, or if he wants an H-back type kid, he will address that to our coaches.
He's building a roster, right? Like you would if you were really trying to build a roster more than just an all-star roster.
Well, actually, we take it out of the coach's hands. All that we want the head coach to do is tell us what he wants. If he wanted 3 quarterbacks, we would give him 3 quarterbacks. Right. But the coaching staff has no involvement in the selection. And again, we do that so that people can't say, well, this coach, he picked this kid because he coached this kid. And it's all in the hands of the committees. Once we're done, we have a final depth chart of each position. We bring the Big 33 team. We vote on the Big 33 team. And then from that point on, the players from the East-West teams are then slotted in. Let's go back to the quarterbacks. We wanted 2 quarterbacks on the Big 33 team. So your top 2 quarterbacks would have made the Big 33 team. Quarterback number 3, let's say he's from out here in Downingtown, either one of those schools, which is big school. He would be the number 1 big school East-West quarterback. The number 4 quarterback selected, if he is from the East, he would end up being the number 2. Let's go to number 5. Finally, we got a kid from West Small. He would be slotted in as the number 1 kid from West Small, and it goes all the way down the list.
Okay.
As kids get bumped out or make decisions not to play, everybody moves up. So you can have that number 3 kid who is your first kid to play in the East-West games. 1 and 2 drop out, boom, he bumps into the Big 33.
Okay. All right. Very good. That was a great explanation. I think a lot of people want to know that because I remember the one year, at least I'm from this area. I remember the one year Jeremiah Young did not get selected. And he just did as much as any high school football player could ever do. I mean, he just ran for thousands of yards. I think he finished top 5 all time in Pennsylvania, back-to-back state championships. And I guess what people don't realize is that coach is trying to build a team, not so much as just trying to find the 33 best players, because I think he was obviously one of the 33 best players, but you have to approach the game with the strategy and the type of personnel that you think is going to probably end up allowing you to win the game, right?
Yeah, Joe, you hit it on the head.
Yeah. Because I remember there was another really good running back from maybe Southern Columbia or up there in the coal region somewhere. And I know that you guys had to choose just one or the other. And that kind of explains how that probably, I'm sure, and I don't want to, but that situation. And that just had a lot of people scratching their temple,
And Joe, I might add, and this is an every year thing, for every kid selected and his family, his school, his community are thrilled, you've probably got 10 that feel that they just got the raw deal. And that's just the nature of the beast. It'll always be that way.
Right.
Joe, what comes out of it too is there's only one voice that tells people why kids don't make it. We ask our directors not to say anything, coaches not to say anything. Everything is directed to me. If there's a complaint, whether it be online or a phone call, it comes through me. And the first question that I always ask whoever is complaining, I'll check to see if their coach is a member or not a member, and you will be surprised 2 or 3 times over the last couple of years. I had a call. Why didn't my kid get in? I'm sorry, but your head coach is not a member of the association, and your son was not nominated.
That's painful. I mean, I think the school, every school should just send a check every year. That should be part of, and we want our coach to be a member.
We would love that. If you take a look at Nicole right now, she's smiling.
You like that idea, Nicole?
That's great. Let's do it.
All right, let's move on. I don't want to harp on that. You explained it very well. Bill, do you have anything before we get into kind of these wraparound events and services that Big 33 provides?
Well, yeah, I can take a little bit of a different direction. I think in my research, Big 33 is a nonprofit, and there's some sort of scholarship program tied to it. Is that true?
Because Nicole did work for the Scholarship Foundation as part of the org. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the Big 33 was a scholarship foundation up until 2017. Our executive director passed away suddenly that year, and the board of the Scholarship Foundation decided to dissolve the organization.
Okay.
And so that's when the Coaches Association decided to pick up the Big 33 game.
Okay.
And so now Big 33 is part of the PSFCA. But the
Okay.
PSFCA is a nonprofit. And we are doing more. We're not doing scholarships per se, but we're growing our buddy program, and we just implemented this year a
Okay.
buddy gift program. So we're really excited to do this and give this, have a chance to give back to our buddy families and the community. But with this buddy gift program, anybody who has a child with special needs is able to apply for any need that they might have. It could be technology or a camp or, assistive devices, anything like that. And what we would do is we will give up to $1,000 to each family. For as much money as we have, we're going to give it out and try to help these families out.
So
That sounds
you're
great.
helping out and just in a different way now.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I cannot leave a Big 33 or East-West game without tears in my eyes, like literal tears in my eyes, when I see the way that those players and cheerleaders interact with their buddies. It's unbelievable. I can't find the words to describe it, because they're doing something that they never probably thought they were going to be able to do, the kids. And the parents are sitting there watching them do something that they probably never thought their child was going to be able to do. Just a lot of them are cheerleaders, right? I mean, there's stuff going on all week, okay, leading up to, but the girls and boys that are cheering with these cheerleaders, it's elation. That's what you see. They are elated. They are doing this in front of thousands upon thousands of people who are cheering for them. And for those 2 hours or so, they are just loving the actual cheerleaders, right? I mean, they adore them. I'm gushing here because I just think it's a fabulous program.
Joe, I want to mention this because it's important to go with what you were saying. And I know that John and Nicole have heard me say this because it's always asked of me as we start doing a lot of the interviews leading up to the game about the buddy program. And I have one comment all the time. I don't know who gets more out of the relationship, the players or the buddies. And you're exactly right. The feeling, I can talk right now and I got goosebumps on my mind.
I imagine you do. Yeah.
And I've been around it all the time. John is the same way. Nicole is the same way.
Yeah.
And building that up is just as important for us as having a great football game.
I imagine it is. Yeah. That's awesome. Okay. Well, thank you for that.
And Joe and I can relate to that a little bit. We can relate to that a little bit because as we go about our business, Joe and the sports and myself more on local journalism. I mean, our hope is as we raise money, we can help the community out. So we, in a little bit different way, we're not always dealing with kids, but we're helping in one way or another. And that's, I think what we get a lot out of helping those people too.
Yeah, absolutely.
The same type of thing. Yeah.
Nicole, maybe you could tell Joe and Bill about how the buddy program was expanded more so than just what you had mentioned with the scholarship. The other things that are happening with.
Let me throw this back up there while you answer that question, Nicole.
Yeah, in the last couple of years, we've been able to expand the buddy program. So, before we just had the Big 33 game where they were able to come and participate. Well, now we have 4 events year-round for buddies to come and participate in. And all these events are free for the buddies and their families. So, we welcome anyone to come out and be a part of the program. In the fall, we go to Sports Emporium, and we actually, with our extra events, we ask local players and cheerleaders to come and pair up with our buddies. So we're not just having our Big 33 players and cheerleaders with the buddies. We have local athletes who are also a part of this special buddy program. So in the fall, we go to Sports Emporium. In January, we go to Trindle Bowl and do bowling, and then we have a dance in March. So Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like everybody looks forward to all these events and activities. We're really fortunate to have a great sponsor. UPMC sponsors the Buddy program, and we're able to keep growing it, keep impacting more lives. That's like you said, Bill. That's what we all want to do, right? Like we just want to make everyone's lives better and give.
Yeah, we're fortunate. Everybody here on this show right now, we're blessed that we have the opportunity. If you're given the opportunity, it's always nice to say yes, because my life's a lot better from doing stuff like that. And I'm sure everybody here is kind of have a smile on their face just talking about it. I see it. So,
well, Nicole, tell the gentleman about Sandra Sinclair, what it meant to her.
Sandra St. John.
John,
This is what really kind of started the ball rolling with adding these more events and activities for our buddies. This was probably at least 6 years ago. One of our former buddies, her name was Sandra St. John, she passed away. And we didn't know it, but she left the Big 33's name in her will. And we received a check, from her estate, and we were so touched by that. We, just the impact that we had on her life. She thought to give back to us so that we could pay it forward, and that's what we needed to do. So that's when we added the mini golf and have started adding all these other events. So we were really inspired by that.
That might have been the greatest thing she was ever involved in. Everybody has that thing that they just, that they look back and they go, oh my gosh, I can't believe I had the opportunity to be a part of that or to do that. That might have been that for her, Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, on a personal level, 6 years ago, my granddaughter, when she was born, we noticed some things were going on with her that wasn't quite normal. And ultimately, she was diagnosed with autism. She's going to be 7 in December. For kids like my granddaughter, when does this kick in as far as when they can participate in your buddy program? What age?
Yeah, we ask that all our buddies be age 5 or older. So so sign her up. We would love to have her be part of the program.
Okay,
great question.
Thank you.
Bill. Okay, let's shift gears here. Nicole, I'm going to stick with you on this one. Then we'll go back to the guys. Let's talk about host families. Okay. Now, what I know about host family, I know obviously the surface part of it is a lot of these kids come in from out of town. They need a place to stay. It allows them to have the opportunity to kind of make a friend, at least one friend, and I'm sure they make a lot more than one. To interact with a family, to get some good meals, the whole thing, rather than going into a Red Roof Inn or something, which is very impersonable, right?
Yes.
But I have good friends of mine, Patrick and Lisa Metz.
Okay.
Their son's name is Adam, and he went to Lower Dauphin and he played in Big 33. It's been years now, but they were host families, and what they got out of hosting this kid was unbelievable. He couldn't stop talking about it. Patrick, he said, Joe, the kid shows up, he doesn't have any nice clothes, and he had to go to the banquet. I went out and we got him we had him a tailor-made suit, and a pair of new shoes and socks, and he adopted that kid for a few days. He adopted him,
Yeah.
So I realize that it's a big deal to be a host family. Talk a little bit about that, Nicole.
It is, and I can talk from the perspective of being a host family also, because we've been hosting kids since 2018. We love it. I can tell you, my family looks forward to Big 33 week every year because we get to welcome a new set of boys into our family. And that's what it is. It's bringing them into our family. We follow these kids as they go on to college, in life, whether they're successful with football or play football or not, we are still their extended family. They still call us that. It's just it is such a great program. Until you do it yourself, I think, and see the connections and bonds that you form in this small amount of time, it's really hard to understand how you can get so connected with someone, but it's it is just a wonderful program. We're actually looking for more host families. So, if anybody's interested in getting involved in doing this, especially if you have young kids. We started when my oldest son was 10 years old, and, he has all these football brothers now that he talks to all the time. It's just, I can't say enough good things about it.
Right. John or Bill, I'm sorry. Bill?
Yeah, I live over in Linglestown, and I'm just wondering if, as far as geography and these host families, like, would I be in an area that would be acceptable to host somebody myself if I wanted to and my family agreed to it? Is it too far away in Linglestown, or how's it work?
No, it's not. We ask people be within a 30-mile radius so that it's,
All right.
A 30, 35-minute drive to Cumberland Valley is preferable or less.
Yeah, we're good then.
Yeah. But no, we definitely have families. We have some families in Hershey still, Palmyra, because when we were on the East Shore, obviously it was closer to those locations.
And when do you sign up? I mean, when do you actually sign up to be a host family? What time of year?
Tonight. Bill, you'll find the application online, buddy.
I'll send you one.
Oh.
No, it's kind of a rolling.
What do I do?
You just signed up.
Whether your family wants to or not, you're in.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait a minute. I have to check with my wife. Okay.
No, we got it. That's all right. It's okay. So let's. I don't think we have time to get into all these too intimately, but there's a lot of stuff that I call them kind of wraparound functions or events. I'm just going to go through the calendar. June 28th is the Big 33 Golf Scramble. So that's when? 2 days from now, right?
Saturday. Yeah.
Okay, Saturday. And then sometime in the fall is the Buddy Miniature Golf. That sounds really fun, really cool. December, cheerleader tryouts and selections. We'll get into the cheerleader thing a little later. I want to talk about cheerleading and girls flag football, that this is more than just boys that are able to take advantage of this whole thing. And then sometime in January, you have Buddy Bowling. January and February is the Big 33 team selection. February, State Football Clinic, Big 33 team press conference. And then in March is the Capitol celebration and the Buddy dance. So there's a lot of stuff for the buddies year round, right?
There is.
They're getting involved. Are there anything that I mentioned there that anybody wants to kind of mention or talk about a little bit?
I think the big take on all of that is, a lot of times we see people and they know the Big 33 is one football game.
Right.
And you mean you work year round? You have things to do, and they don't realize just what you just read.
That's why I thought it was important to mention all that stuff. That's kind of a full year's schedule there.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, we've gone by the slogan for so many years. It's more than a game, more than just a game. And again, as a lot of those things that you just cited are related to a part of, but not just a football game.
Yeah.
And you know what else it does, besides the obvious, it gives kids a chance to have fun a lot of times throughout the year. I mean, that sounds like a bunch of fun stuff to me.
And Joe and Bill, I also think that if it was just a game, we would have a much more difficult time getting sponsors, getting people to financially help support it. But I think when you talk about the Buddy program, that tugs at a lot of people's heartstrings, and I think the Buddy program, more than anything, probably helps us to get people to support what we do.
I would imagine so. Thank you, John. What about cheerleaders? How are they selected? Are they kind of the best cheerleaders, just like the football players are the best football players? Is that how does that work? No, go ahead, Nicole.
Yep, they absolutely are. Typically, we have 2 to 3 different tryouts for the cheerleaders, and these are girls and guys from all across the state who come in to try out to be in the Big 33. So I think last year there were around 150 who tried out, and there are 70 cheerleaders who are selected for the Big 33 game. So these cheerleaders are athletes. You know,
I'll bet they are.
you
Yeah,
watch them.
I think they are.
Yeah, they're impressive. And then we actually, for the athletes who did not make it for the Big 33 squads, we have cheerleaders for the East-West games now. So we have cheerleaders who have been selected to be East-West cheerleaders also. So we're trying to give them more opportunities to be able to, you know, showcase their talents to the crowd as well.
Okay, thank you.
They'll cheer it for the girls' flag as well, those cheerleaders.
Okay,
oh, you're right.
good.
Yeah, and they cheered for the flag this year for the championship game.
So let's use that as a segue. Talk about flag football. Does it fall under the Big 33 banner, or how is that promoted, Garry?
It does now. It does now, and we are in full. Being the Football Coaches Association, we're in full mode with bringing girls' flag underneath our umbrella. 2 years ago, we decided to bring it into the Big 33 family. Had some great conversations with some people with the NFL, and it's kind of morphed into the setup that we have right now. We have 4 NFL teams, 2 here in PA, obviously the Eagles and the Steelers, and we have the 2 down in Maryland. We have Baltimore and the Commanders. And we decided we were going to bring and have a Big 33 girls flag tournament. It was the first year, it was over 2 days. It was a round robin and then a championship game. And it went so well with the NFL and those teams being so happy with it. And also obviously with the PIAA adopting girls flag
as a sanctioned sport,
sport, it just caught on like wildfire. And the events were tremendous. We look for that scenario to get bigger and better each year. We're going to learn each year as we have gotten into the girls' flag things. But man, I'll tell you what, you talk about some athletes that are hungry for competition and hungry to be put out in front of people. The coaches are the same way. They are, our plans eventually will be with them to bring them and allow them to become part of our membership for the Coaches Association. We hope to have speakers, clinics for the girls' flag. But it's been absolutely great. And we look for it to get bigger and better.
Well, Garry, I am an unabashed supporter and fan of girls and women's sports. I love it. Okay. I just do. Bill, you know that.
Yeah, sure.
And I don't get that not everybody else is. Okay. That's how much I like girls and women's sports. But I used to I still do. I go to this Powder Puff game. I'm sure you guys know what Powder Puff is.
Yeah.
It's girls flag football. And most of those girls are some of the best female athletes in the schools.
Yeah.
And I used to tell my friends, you got to go watch these games. These girls are so good.
Yeah.
Kicking, they have the option of kicking 35-yard extra points. You get you get 2 or 3 points for it rather than 1. And there's girls out there nailing 35-yard extra points halfway up through the uprights, So anyway, I just wanted to.
The game this year, Joe, it's become so big that there were many college coaches here that actually we had two offers this year on the girls' flag football side for girls to go play in college.
Oh, wow.
You can't do that with the boys at the boys' end of things. And I'm sure that they'll be governed a little bit more in 2026 when it becomes an official sport here in PA. But there were college coaches here, and obviously the NFL did films and video, and they've used them periodically in some of the things that they do to promote the game. So we're excited about it. We're happy that they're involved. And when you talk to those girls individually, John will tell you, Nicole will tell you, being around those kids, they were just so excited and so appreciative of being involved and being part of the Big 33. I know I heard Nicole say this a couple of times during the week that, hey, we always had a Super Bowl with a Big 33 player. Who knows? Maybe every Olympics will have a Big 33 girls flag participant playing in the Olympics. for the United States.
Yeah, that's the level of athlete you guys are going to be bringing in.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay, so let's shift gears 180 degrees again, because I don't think we touched on this enough or at all even. What is the East-West game? There are actually two East-West games. There's a small school and a big school. Did we touch on that? I don't think so.
No.
There are two other games, and they're the week prior, right?
Right.
The Sunday prior.
We started West games. So actually, when I stepped out of the room, I wanted to make sure that I got this right. This will be the 24th year for the East-West game.
I could have told you that. I had that on my sheet here.
The last couple of years, again, to try to give more kids an opportunity to play in a high-profile game, we decided to go with big school, small schools after there was a split classifications.
Right.
And believe it or not, the small school game and kids in the communities that are around the small schools, they bring contingency of people. And, for the last couple of years, we've kind of seen maybe more people with the small school games. And it has really morphed out into quite an event. The talent in those games is phenomenal. John, did you coach in the East-West game? John coached in a game. I actually coached in the very first game in 01 against Mike Williams. I was the head coach of the West. He was the head coach of the East. Mike ended up winning. I know on my roster in 01, I had Bruce Badkowski. I had a couple of guys who made it to the NFL. There's some very, very good talent. And, again, once the PSFCA kind of took over, all these other things that are associated with the PSFCA kind of merged with Big 33. I don't know. I like to have John talk about, the Hall of Fame that goes on during Big 33 week, the Legends program that John was real big in getting involved with, and just some of these other things that have morphed out of the PSFCA being involved with the Big 33.
Well, before we move over to John, don't change a thing with those East-West games because they're phenomenal. They really, really are. The level of talent, and I'll bring this up again, and I mean this in they don't feel like all-star games. You feel like you're sitting there watching a football game, And I don't know if that's just the way they play out or if that's the way the coaches approach it. But, if you watch an NBA all-star game or an NHL all-star game and, they serve their purposes and stuff, they can come across as not all that, entertaining. But you're going to watch a football game when you go watch an East-West game or a Big 33
phenomenal
game.
This year, Joe. Phenomenal this year. We would have a tremendous turnover on those rosters initially, because kids didn't get picked for the Big 33. They may not have wanted to be involved. This past year was actually the best in terms of the kids who were selected, decided to stay and play in the East-West games. So it's starting to roll, even though we're 25 years into this thing. It's starting to catch on, and I really believe that more and more kids, if they don't get the opportunity to play in the Big 33 game, that they'll opt to play in the East-West game.
I worked in the broadcast booth for the big school East-West game, and my eyebrows were raised when I looked at the rosters.
Amazing.
I thought, man, how can these kids not be? They're just this much under being a Big 33 player. It's paper thin, the level of, and we already talked about all that, but the talent that you guys bring in for those East-West games is just phenomenal. John, let's bring you back in here one more time. Let's talk about what happens or what has happened over the years that some of the top players aren't able to play anymore. Is it just well, you go ahead and answer the question.
Well, again, one of the things that I mentioned.
I'm asking this, John, because I know that people want to know this.
Right. We obviously lose those kids that are the early enrolled. So they are already on campus. They can't.
Right. There's one. Yeah.
The other thing is when it was played in July, at the end of July, that was a time when all the recruited football players were going to be redshirted, almost all of them.
Right.
So he had the support and the blessing of the college coaches. It looked good for their program to have a Big 33, coming in as a recruited freshman.
Absolutely.
Now, however, if you've got a great athlete coming into your college football program, chances are you have to play him as a true freshman, because he may be 3 years and on to the NFL, and now with the transfer portal and everything else that's going on, you're only guaranteed having him on your campus for 1 year. So I've got to play him. And oh, by the way, I don't want him playing in this All-Star game, risking getting an injury. Right. So where we once really had the blessing and support of the college coaches, not so much anymore, and understandably. Right. I mean, they have to, their program comes first.
So you guys have just been kind of hamstrung by circumstances, basically. Right. And let me be clear about this too. There's not too many players that fall under these, what we're talking about. Okay. No. I don't want anybody to think like there's all kinds of talent dropping off. It's just usually a handful every year, and then you bring in, like we were just saying, you bring in another high top-notch player to take that player's place.
There are more than 40 good football players in the state.
Absolutely, yeah. I only ask that. I don't want to be negative when I talk about who doesn't play, but it is a question that I hear there's buzz about. I remember back when so-and-so, and it's like, well, things change, and that explains everything right there.
No,
Bill, do you have any? Good. I'm sorry.
Amazing one here to go along with what John said. With all the changes, this was the first year that we had an agent call and tell us that his player was not going.
Oh my!
Wow.
This was the first year. It wasn't the coach.
Now I'm really glad I asked that question.
He's the agent. Yeah, and the kid didn't play.
Oh, okay.
Did not play.
It's interesting that there's no rules against that. The agents getting involved that early.
Well, I think there's a
NIL. You're allowed in high school. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
High school, NIL now.
At any time in high school now?
Yes.
Like when they're sophomores.
Yes.
Oh my. Okay.
NIL, and there's parameters. There's basic parameters that the PIAA has set up, and it's as minimum as possible. You're not allowed to use your school's name. You're not allowed to use their.
Well, I knew there was NIL, but I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I guess they would have to have an agent because they're not going to be able to go out. Them and their parents aren't going to.
Another unbelievable statistic out of there.
Yeah.
In Maryland, that there was a kid. There was actually 8 players on this school in Maryland that were being paid NIL money. The total of the 8 players on the one school was over $3 million. One high school kid was getting $1.3 million as a high school kid down in Maryland to get paid to play.
Oh my!
Wow.
Okay.
That's another show, though, right?
Yes.
You know what? I could show you my list of upcoming shows or shows that I'm sourcing, that I'm kind of trying to find guests for, and one of them is NIL/transfer portal. I want to talk about because both of them are, let's say, they're both still relatively new, both of them, and I just think it's very interesting because I see people talking about both of them all the time. Most people just despise it. But anyway, yeah, that is for another show. Like literally, it is for another show that we'll be doing. Bill, do you have anything else?
No, I think it covered. I'm really glad I had a chance to do this because of learn more and also to find out about these extra programs you do, the buddy program, needing host families and all that. That was me very.
We're here to educate you, Bill. That's what we're here.
Thank you.
Certainly. Yeah. Nicole, you want to say any shout outs to anybody, or you want to wrap things up with anything? Closing thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, thank you guys for having us on here.
Sure. It was great. It was fun. A lot of fun.
I think we'd be remiss if we didn't send a shout out and thank you to our major sponsors and contributors. The state of Pennsylvania, we receive really nice funding from the state to have the game here, as well as Cumberland County, and Renewal by Anderson of Central PA is our title sponsor for the Big 33 games. Those are the big ones who really help us out and help us keep things going. And course, we're always looking for more sponsors.
I'm sure you are.
So we can, as everyone is who's a nonprofit, so that we can keep these programs going and keep our initiatives, increasing the number of people that we can impact.
And what we've learned tonight is you would be sponsoring way more than just a football game, folks. So
That's right.
at least look it up,
What?
contact Nicole, Garry, or John and find out what do we have to do to become a sponsor? What would we be supporting? And you might be surprised that it's a lot more than you thought. Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, and Nicole, you have a good one there in the Anderson windows. I'm a customer, and they are great to work.
Oh, good. Yes, we love them. I tell you what, they don't only sponsor. I mean, they come to all our events. They've dived right in, and they're a part of everything that we do. So they're really great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nicole. Very well done, Nicole.
Yeah, they're good, very good company. Yeah.
Nicole Whitmire, director of Big 33, and the person that gets everything done around there, right, Garry? Let's go over to Garry. That's what Garry told me before Nicole came in.
Absolutely. With that, Nicole and John, and you know what? There's such great people here within the staff that do such a great job, work so hard. But the thing about everybody that's involved here is their passion for Big 33 and all of these programs. People don't make a lot of money doing this. People don't, and some people are even volunteers. But man, I tell you what, we cannot thank our office staff, our workers, all the peripheral people that make this thing go.
Mm-hmm.
And it's transmitted itself into being quite an event. And John, I want you to talk about the legends because I just think that that's important to mention.
You're gonna close things out, John, because this all started with you and me.
All right. Okay.
Months ago, we got this. We kind of hatched this plan, and here it is, come to fruition. So why don't you close us out, John? John.
Yeah. As far as the legends, we decided a couple of years ago we need to do something to reconnect with our alumni. I mean, when you look at that alumni, those names that stand out. So every year, we've done it 2 years in a row. We name 8 of our former players, cheerleaders, coaches, contributors as Big 33 legends. Have a great event for them during Big 33 weekend. And I know we're running short of time, but
That's all right.
We're going to continue to grow our alumni base. And just one other thing, all the things that we've been talking about, anyone that's watching, that's listening, if they want to find out more or sign up for anything, we do have a website, www.big33.org. Go to our website and you can probably find a lot of information on some of the things that we've been talking about.
Sounds to me, John, like there's something for everyone.
Absolutely.
To be able to lend a hand with.
Yeah, absolutely. And we really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you guys.
As do we. This has been a blast. I had a lot of fun here tonight, and I know Bill did too. I kind of do things more on the sports side, and Bill's kind of the other news guy. But he's better than he gives himself credit for when it comes to covering sports. And Bill, you had a lot of great questions tonight. Go ahead, Bill. I can see your hand up.
Yeah, before we cut out, we have one thing to follow up our opening segment. So don't leave. I mean, our guests can leave, but we need to make a correction.
So we're gonna have a closing segment, right? We had an opening, and now we're gonna have a closing. Okay. Well, let these folks get. I don't know if they want to be around for that, Bill. So once again, Big 33 PSFCA staff: Garry Cathell, John Weaver, Nicole Whitmire. You guys are awesome. What you do is awesome, and I hope that some people got. Kind of a better idea of what that it's way more than just a couple weeks of football. It's a year-round thing, and please get involved if you're able. So thanks very much, you guys.
Yeah,
thank you.
Maybe we'll do it again sometime, and I mean that. We'll have maybe a recurring thing. Okay.
Sounds great. Thank you.
All right. Enjoy your evenings.
Good night. Thank you.
Okay, Bill.
Yeah, what's happening? Yeah, we were talking about the Democratic ticket here in Lower Paxton Township, and neither of us knew the one candidate. He's actually standing on the right side of the picture, a tall black man,
right.
John Campbell, and Cheryl Klingensmith, who's very active with the Democrats in Lower Paxton Township.
Thank you, Cheryl, for that information.
Yeah, John Campbell. There are 2 John Campbells apparently in the area, And the one that's going to be running in the fall is not a former treasurer in the city of Harrisburg. It's this John Campbell was a wealth manager for M&T Bank.
Okay.
So we have two John Campbells, and there was some confusion there. And thanks to Cheryl to clear that up. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Cheryl. We appreciate it. We appreciate your support and your viewership. And anything else, Bill? That was a good show. That was very fulfilling. There's some nice people.
Yeah, it's great to
nice.
know. I mean, because I mean, like I said, that organization's been around for a long, long time, 1957, and you knew about it, but I didn't really know about it. So that fixed that. The show fixed that up, Joe.
Maybe you and I will get together and go next year if you can get it, carve out a couple hours. I want you to see, and I really do want you to see the way that those buddies interact with the cheerleaders, and it's just it's something to see for sure. Anything else?
Well, I'm going to try and get my granddaughter involved with that buddy.
That would be great. So how about that? Yeah, then we'd have a reason to go and support her. So next week, once again, we have Andrew Linker, who's a baseball historian and a sports journalist, writer of really high caliber. And then Hawaiian Chris James, in his 41st year. He's going to have some stories, Bill. And we're going to have them on together, and then we'll do our opening segment and talk about whatever crops up between now and then. So let's close on this note. Thank you to the American Legion Post 272, Rickabaz Electric, Team PA AAU basketball, and Be a Hero, Hire a Hero for supporting the show. Bill, thank you very much.
Hey, you're welcome. Good to do it.
We'll talk to you soon. Yep, it's a lot of fun.
Good night. See you,
bud.